Male 23, did sexual things with my therapist. Female 43, she said the sex would help me with my fear of sex, but it has brought back memories of sexual abuse.
Not only is your therapist unethical, she's also exploiting your vulnerabilities. You should cut all contact with her and make a formal complaint. She needs to be turned into the board. Not only is she sexually abusing a patient, OP has trauma from past sexual assault and she is preying on that. If this is real, then she needs to have her license taken away. Something has me kind of doubting the truth of this story though. I rely on her a lot emotionally. I don't know if I can leave. If I did leave her, I don't feel I could ever do anything to hurt her. It feels wrong to betray her by reporting her. She told me she could lose her license and she's only doing this because she wants to help me. I don't want to destroy her life. I am an adult and I gave consent to everything we have done together. I have a therapist I'm seeing for sexual abuse trauma and she would never instigate a sexual relationship because 1. Sex is often traumatizing for sexual abuse survivors. 2. She is in a position of power over me. 3. She would be manipulating and playing my vulnerability to meet her own needs. I'm so sorry this happened to you. What she did is horrible. I know you see it as consensual, but in many states sex is not consensual if you're coerced or frauded into having it. Arguably, her telling you sex would help you heal falls into both categories. I admire your care for her and not wanting to betray you, but she betrayed your trust by preying on you in a vulnerable state. If not for yourself, report her so that it doesn't happen to anyone else. I doubt this is her first time doing this to a patient and unfortunately I don't think it will be the last. There are good therapists out there. I hope you find one who helps you and shows you what healthy relationships and boundaries look like. Best of luck. She abused her position as a therapist and manipulated you into having sex with her. Report her. Put your phone on record for your next session. After you have the recording, consult an attorney with the evidence. She should have her medical license revoked for this. She knew you had issues with sex and exploited you anyway. She is beneath contempt. Remember, you are likely not the first person she has abused in this way. If you do not report it, she will continue to do it to others. I am so sorry. This is not your fault. You did nothing wrong. What your therapist is doing is sexual abuse and it violates several ethics and is illegal. Please report her. This is such a horrible violation of your trust and your relationship. Please don't allow her to continue to do this to you or anyone else. If you would like, please DM me your state and the letters after her name. I can find the appropriate licensing board for you to report her to. I can't report her for you, though. It has to be your decision. I don't think I can report her. I rely on her a lot for my emotional well-being and it feels like a betrayal to hurt her. I could never do anything to hurt her and if I told anyone what has happened she'd have her entire life ruined because of me. I've never felt as close to somebody as I am with her. Even though the sex feels like trauma, I feel like we've bonded and that I would never love someone more than I love her. To find someone who knows about your sexual abuse, but loves you anyway and wants to help you through it is something I have never had. I felt a bit overwhelmed with the amount of replies here, to be honest. I know I probably painted her in a bad light. She isn't a predator like everyone is making out. People are quick to judge her, but only know her from what I've said. She's incredibly compassionate, will let me call her whenever I need her, she always has time for me and talks about helping me grow. I've never shared something like this with anyone before her. I know this is a hard situation to be in and I get the feeling of trust and love one can feel for their therapist. You're sharing your deepest and darkest secrets with someone and they respond in an open, non-judgmental, and supportive way. It makes sense it'd be easy to develop feelings for someone like that. In fact, it's very, very common for patients to develop deep and entrenched feelings for their therapist because of this. I've done it, I've looked it up online and seen many others have done it, and it sounds like you've done it. I absolutely get that it's scary to think that you would ruin the life of someone you care so deeply about. This will probably be hard for you to hear and you'll probably outright reject it at first, but it's very possible that she's exploiting your vulnerabilities for her own gain, sex. It's illegal for her to be doing what she's doing. She knows that and is well aware of it. Yet she's doing it anyways. I'd recommend you do some research about boundaries between therapist and patient and see how easy it can be for someone to fall for their therapist. Good luck. Mental health professionals, from day one, are told that dual relationships, sexual, romantic relationships, etc., with patients is forbidden. It's really common to develop strong feelings towards your therapist, platonic ones, familial ones, sexual ones. It's common for therapists to feel this way about clients. But the job of the therapist is enforce healthy boundaries and to address these feelings as they come up to reassert boundaries. This woman could be a literal saint, but as a therapist she is doing you a major disservice. She is not encouraging healthy boundaries, not just the sex, but allowing you to call whenever you want. I'm sorry, op. She is using you. She is making a mockery of the profession by breaking a huge rule that I can guarantee she knows is wrong. She is using her power and training to abuse you. Please report her. Your reaction is completely understandable given everything you've experienced. You should know that you have done nothing wrong by developing feelings for your therapist. As others have mentioned, it is not at all uncommon for patients and therapists alike to develop strong emotional bonds with one another. The phenomenon of emotional entanglement between client and therapist is so well recognized, in fact, that there are words to describe the experience from both perspectives: countertransference, from therapist to client, and transference, from client to therapist. Because the therapist is serving as the professional in the client-therapist relationship, however, it is their responsibility to ensure that professional boundaries are not violated as a result of these experiences, whether that means helping a patient process their attraction to them, which may be an option when the feelings are not reciprocated by the therapist, or referring to another therapist, which is advised when a therapist may be tempted to violate their ethical obligations toward their client. I could never do anything to hurt her, and if I told anyone what has happened, she'd have her entire life ruined because of me. In sexually exploiting a patient, your therapist has chosen to act in a way that does not reflect the values of her profession. If she is no longer able to practice therapy, then it will be as a result of her actions. It concerns me that this therapist may continue practicing despite clear violations of her ethical duties, but I do understand your desire to protect her. Your hesitation has been shared by many survivors of sexual assault and exploitation who are grappling with the question of whether to report a close family member or friend. For now, my best advice for you is to cancel any upcoming appointments with your current therapist and search for a different therapist with whom you can begin establishing a healthy relationship. Even better if you can find a trauma-informed therapist in your area. A therapist cannot report an event which they do not know about, so if you do not discuss your current therapist's sexual misconduct, then it will remain unreported. It is my hope that a good therapist will provide you with the knowledge and reassurance you need to eventually feel comfortable discussing this massive violation, but it will take time. I would start by seeking treatment for the prior abuse. Your perspective on your relationship with your current therapist will likely change after you've had an opportunity to process similar experiences with a therapist who uses evidence-based treatments. Last thing, there are a couple websites dedicated to patients who have been abused and/or exploited by therapists that you may find helpful. She would have her entire life ruined because of her. She's using what you tell her, your insecurities and mental illnesses, as a way to manipulate you. She's nice because she is manipulating you. If you tried to stop it, she'd stop being nice and she'd start threatening you. That's how abusers work. I'm sorry this is happening to you. I think all the down votes are awful. You need to get away from her. Find a new therapist. A man. That does not sound like a very professional therapist. There is a clear line between patient and therapist, and she leapt right over it. You need to find a new therapist, and report this one to whichever profession associated she is affiliated with for gross misconduct. So I am in college trying to get my degree to eventually be a therapist, maybe someday, possibly. You need to get away from this woman. She needs to have her license taken away and does not deserve to be practicing professionally or in any other capacity. Therapists are not meant to have personal relationships with their clients, especially not physical ones, especially not to help them recover. This is the most disgusting thing I've ever read. Please, find some friends, refund people who can help you get through this. Your therapist knew what she was doing and took advantage of you in your vulnerable position. I cannot even express how badly I feel for you. Do not see her again. Cut off all contact, and report her to her employers. She is not a professional and should not be acting as such. Can you say without a doubt that all therapists who sleep with their clients are always bad? Do all of them deserve to have their lives ruined for it? She told me it would help me and I trust her. I don't want to ruin her life if she's trying to help me. What if she's just wrong and made a mistake? What if she thought it was genuinely going to help me? I don't just see her as the therapist, I see her as a person who has feelings, emotions, thoughts of their own. She's somebody who has given me a space to talk and build trust with me in a way no other person ever has. I never dated a woman before her because of my trauma. She is the first woman to know what I've been through and my baggage, but not be scared away from it. Do you know how hard it would be to walk away from that? Even if it feels like the sex is re-traumatizing me, I feel like I can't leave her. Yes, she is. If she really loved you or cared about you, she would have recommended you to someone else and kept you in your life as a partner. I am really sorry to say this, but she is abusing you in many ways. She is sexually abusing you because she is in a position of power. She is tying you to her emotionally while also taking money from you. She is taking what you are telling her in confidence to her help to use it to her advantage. This person does not care about you. You need to report her because what she is doing to you is terribly wrong. I understand that you rely on her a lot, which is because of her manipulation, so go get yourself another therapist first and then get rid of her. Her support from a real professional who isn't a horrible criminal and then leave her. I am so sorry you are experiencing this. It's incredibly wrong. This is not normal and extremely predatory. You need to stop seeing her first off and look into reporting her for misconduct, malpractice. She should never be allowed to work in a therapeutic or medical role again. Hi there. I have been seeing a therapist for over 2 years, and while I do not have sexual trauma, everything I understand about therapeutic boundaries and the relationship BTWN client-therapist says this is a major, if not the biggest, no. It is completely valid and understandable that you are feeling re-traumatized. Honestly, I'm angry at your therapist right now for abusing your trust and putting you in this situation. You deserve a better therapist and advocate for your healing. Also, please report her. Therapists aren't even allowed to have relationships with their patients. It's a conflict of interest and it's illegal. Also, she's in a position of power over you. She's your therapist. It's morally wrong and unlawful. I'd talk to a lawyer or police officer about what to do. You want this woman's license taken away. She used her position to take advantage of you. You were having a panic attack for a reason. Listen to your body. You might need to get irrefutable evidence, like a recording of her admitting you having sex with you. Trust your gut. You feel re-traumatized because that's exactly what is happening. In any therapy training, it is 100% clear that you are never allowed to engage in any sexual contact with a client. Ever. It is 100% unethical and it is reiterated many times with reasons supporting why this can never happen. Please sue the crap out of her. She should no longer be able to practice. Can you say without a doubt that all therapists who sleep with a client deserve their life to be ruined? Even if they have good intentions and want to help the client? She explained everything. It made sense and I trust her. She is talking to me about my trauma straight after we have sex. A normal therapist wouldn't be able to do this. Yes, I can say that without a doubt. Therapists are trained on what is and isn't appropriate, what boundaries they need to keep with clients. This wasn't some mutual lust-filled accident. She manipulated you and took advantage of your pain. She is a predator. She does not have good intentions with you. She manipulated you so you would feel safe, but that doesn't change the ethics behind it. All therapists know that this is wrong, point blank. Including her. It's especially telling that she insists you keep sleeping together. Also, her age. Older predators do tend to go for younger people, knowing you take her job title and age as indicators that she knows more than you and you should trust her. I promise you, she is a predator and is only hurting you for her own gain. Source: I'm getting my master's in social work. Probably the biggest rule in mental health care, hell, any health care setting, is do not have romantic, sexual relationships with your clients. Absolutely yes, this woman deserves to have her career ruined. She manipulated you using the therapeutic relationship. She will probably continue to use her position and certifications to predate vulnerable people. She is not a normal therapist. A normal, competent therapist would not even entertain the idea of sex with a client. Please, get away from this woman. Please report her. She is abusing you and might abuse more people. Fuck no, fuck no, fuck no. I was seeing a male therapist, as were some of my closet friends. Turns out he was using sex as part of his therapy with these women. It came out and the shit hit the fan. Ended up in court and the therapist lost his license. And these friends were pretty fucked up afterwards. Some eventually appeared to recover. But others never did. Yeah, I'm a registered therapist and we even practice extreme caution when deciding if a hug is appropriate. This is 100% wrong and is considered sexual abuse due to the power dynamics involved. One of the scenarios where I'm allowed to break confidentiality is if a client shares having sexual contact with a medical professional for this very reason. Where I am, there are clear rules where a therapist cannot have sexual contact with a client for at least 5 years after they've terminated, and even then it not recommended. What the therapist is doing is obviously causing harm and crosses huge boundaries. Bad therapist. Leave and report them. This is extremely inappropriate. She needs to be reported to the board. I'm so sorry she violated the trust. I hate to say it, but she violated your relationship. I don't want to tell you how to feel, but, me personally, I would feel like I was taken advantage of. Please get another therapist and report her. Please report her to the licensing board where you live. I will literally find it for you if you are struggling. Your therapist crossed so many professional boundaries. The reason that it brought up past trauma is because she broke your trust and did something that she should not have done. I'm so sorry. Hi man. Hey, I really hear you. Sounds like this is very confusing, and I'm sorry you're feeling re-traumatized. It can be hard to identify all the things you're feeling since you trust your therapist, but also this doesn't feel good. I want to share this pamphlet with you. It's about the very situation that you're in, how to make sense of what's happening if you're having sexual involvement with your therapist. Professional therapy never includes sex. An important thing to remember is that a therapist should make you feel safe at all times. That's why professional therapy never includes sex, because it can get unsafe very fast, it crosses important boundaries, and it blurs the line between the professional counseling relationship and an intimate relationship. Please know that you are allowed to honor and follow your doubts about this. It sounds like your gut is telling you the truth, and even though you have trusted your therapist, you know yourself and you can listen to your gut. I'm in school to become a therapist right now. This therapist deserves to lose her license. And you deserve a good therapist who will actually help you heal from your trauma, and not cause you more pain. If you are in the United States, report her to the BBS Board of Behavioral Sciences, since that is likely where she is licensed. You'd also very likely be able to sue her, if you wanted to take that route. I'm so sorry you're going through this, and I hope you can find a therapist that guides you towards real healing. As a counselor in training, your therapist is extremely unethical and has crossed a very important boundary. She broke our code of ethics and should be reported to the board and have her license taken away. This changes the dynamic of your relationship with your therapist, as she has taken advantage of you and is now not only toxic but also untherapeutic for you. As a licensed psychologist, as others have noted, and assuming this story is even true, you need to find a new therapist pronto. Once you two had sex, hell, once she proposed having sex, whatever therapeutic relationship you had ended. Essentially, now she's just a fuck buddy you talk with. This woman is not interested in helping you with your issues, she wants someone to fuck. Of course you're having panic attacks and recalling memories of being abused, because you're being abused again. While having sex with your therapist is not illegal, assuming you live in the US, it is astronomically unethical and would be the end of that person's career. Leave this woman and report her to her professional board. If you met your therapist through a certain agency or office, seek another reliable referral. There are also more telehealth options as well given COVID-19. No therapist, or mental health professional period, would sleep with their client. This isn't normal and damn sure isn't treatment. End this interaction now. Please stop all contact with your therapist and report her. I'm a therapist. I cannot begin to even tell you how upset I am with yours for taking advantage of you and your trust. In nearly every class, training, and seminar in our first year, it is drilled into us to never have a sexual relationship with a client. I'm so sorry op. What the fuck, report this. No therapist should ever have any kind of sexual relationship with a client unless they are a licensed sex therapist, and even then there's a shitload of procedures, consents, and legal paperwork before you even get to that step. If this post is real, then your therapist is a fucking predator who took advantage of your vulnerabilities to exploit you, and she needs to lose her license and job. I cannot even understate how profoundly unethical this is. Cut all contact now and report her to her place of employment, her state licensing board, and likely also the police for rape, because IDK where you live, but wherever it is I can pretty much guarantee someone in a position of power pressuring you into sex is considered sexual assault. You need to report her and find a new therapist. She 110% took advantage of you because you're vulnerable. She's a predator and needs to be away from other vulnerable people permanently. I'm really sorry you ended up a victim of her. That's not right. This is a very serious thing that happened and absolutely none of it is your fault. Report your therapist to whatever board is responsible for her license, and find a new therapist. The one you have now is abusing her position. Edited to add, also get an STD test as soon as possible. If she's doing it to you, she's doing it to other patients. Yeah, that was extremely predatory of her. No therapist in their right mind would have sex with a client as a means of treatment. She 100% took advantage of you and preyed upon you while you were in a vulnerable position. I'm so sorry, but you need to stop seeing her because you may be right about her re-traumatizing you. Edit, and do report her please. This kind of behavior is so incredibly dangerous and there's no telling how many other clients she's taken advantage of. You 100% need to report this therapist. Legally, a therapist cannot sleep with a client while working with them or 2 years after. This is because there is an inherent power imbalance in the relationship that therapist can manipulate, which it sounds like she did to you. I'm so sorry this happened to you, and I really hope that the experience doesn't close you off forever to therapy. Report her. Report her. Report her sick ass. She is abusing you in her position. Please know she's a predator and the chances are high she's done this before and will do this again. BC. Victims are too afraid and ashamed to say anything. Now there are actual licensed sex therapists. She is not. I am so sorry. She did that to you. You did not deserve that at all. I had a therapist who was abusive and I felt I had to continue going and being abused, like when I was a little girl. He would text late night and open up about himself during my sessions. I told his boss what he was doing, and I didn't go back there. Here's the kicker: he started calling me from different numbers and wouldn't leave a message. He eventually stopped. I'm not gonna lie, that was scary, and I'm so glad I left before he did any more damage to me. I didn't deserve that, and neither do you. I really hope do not go back to that therapist. You should report this immediately and find a new therapist. I assure you that this is against every rule. Even sex therapists are supposed to prescribe you a surrogate partner. They aren't supposed to ever have sex with you themselves. If you have had anxiety attacks while this was going on, and she didn't stop, then it is rape. This is sexual abuse. Your therapist is taking advantage of you and using your vulnerabilities against you. This therapist needs to be fired immediately. What the therapist is doing is wrong. It happens sometimes. Therapists are people and make mistakes too. For example, when I was a child, my mother divorced my father to marry her marriage counselor. The point is, when you realize someone you are supposed to be able to trust has abused the relationship, you need to get away from it. It appears your therapist may be putting her own needs above your own, and potentially causing you further pain when she is supposed to be helping you. Oh God, I am so sorry for you. Please stop seeing this woman. She's not only taking advantage of your vulnerability, she's being unprofessional. Do a complaint. She abusing you in her power position as the one who should be helping you get better. She has to lose her license, and if she's doing this to a young man like you, bet she is taking advantage of other patients of hers, maybe even younger than you. But do not give up getting help. The world is full of therapists who are actually seeking helping others, and I'm sure you're going to get over your trauma. Wish you the best of luck finding a new therapist and getting this one fired. Holy crap, this is the most unethical thing I have seen in a long time. Your therapist crossed a huge line. Your therapist is absolutely traumatizing you. She is in a position of power and using her position to get sex from you. This is rape. This is no different from an employee who is coerced by their boss, or a student coerced by a teacher. Please, stop seeing her and, if you can, report her. She likely has done this before.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video. And if you are new, subscribe and click on the bell icon.